I mean, just watching some of that footage made my stomach turn. I mean, it's beautifully shot. That's the thing that stands out. It's beautifully shot. But you must be pretty good with heights.
Yeah, I think so. I think you get desensitized to that kind of thing over time.
Were you ever scared of heights?
Not really. But then also after more than 20 years of climbing all the time, it starts to feel a lot more comfortable.
Were you ever scared of anything?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, scared of all kinds of things.
Like?
Well, honestly, so when you say that you're afraid of heights, most people say that they're afraid of heights, but they mean that they're afraid of dying. They're afraid of falling off of heights and falling to their death.
Okay.
It's not that many people are afraid of looking out a window of a tall hotel or something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, are you actually afraid of heights or are you afraid of dying? Because I'm afraid of dying, too. I don't want to fall off.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I guess it's true because if I look out the window of an airplane, I'm not scared.
Exactly. Almost nobody's afraid of being on a plane because they feel safe, because they know that statistically it's not going to crash and that, you know, they feel comfortable and they're used to it. And so, I mean, I think I have sort of the same experience on cliffs like that.
That's an interesting point. I climbed Machu Picchu, and I went to the top of one of the mountains next to it, and I went to the top, and my stomach dropped, and I couldn't believe I was up there, and I just felt like a wind gust would take me away and throw me over the mountain, and I had to get down on all fours because I was so worried.
But that's also because that's your first time at the very edge of a mountain at that altitude. You probably felt slightly lightheaded. You felt, you know, a little crisp air. It all feels a little intense because you've never done it. But if you did that day in, day out your entire life, it would feel pretty, like you would know that you won't just fall over.
I guess that's true. When did you start climbing and kind of have that itch?
Well, so I started climbing indoors when I was maybe 10 or 11 at a climbing gym in Sacramento, and then continued outdoors as I got older.
When there's that shot that opens up the trailer and you're just looking at the face of Yosemite and looking at the face of El Capitan, and it's just this giant, unbelievable, beautiful face of a rock and of a mountain. When did you first look at that and basically fall in love with it?
Well, so the first time I looked at it, I mean, so I fell in love with it. I was inspired by it to climb it with a rope. You know, basically the first time I climbed in Yosemite, which is 2005, 2006. I mean, the beauty of El Cap is that it's the scale. There's always a bigger adventure to be had on it. So for my first seasons of climbing, it was just to climb the wall, felt significant, and then to climb the wall in a day, and then to climb it faster and then in better style, and then eventually to climb without a rope. But basically, it provided this opportunity for adventure for over a decade that I was climbing in Yosemite.
But you probably always felt safe with a rope doing it.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but it's still pretty intimidating.
Of course,
the first time.
yes, for most people, absolutely. But because you kind of have desensitized yourself to that type of thing, I guess with a rope, it feels safe.
Kind of. I mean, the first time, though, it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the biggest, most iconic wall in the world. And so when I was learning how to big wall climb, it represented the cutting edge of what was, it felt impossible just to climb it with a rope. And so I think I actually counted last season. I've climbed El Cap maybe 80 times now with a rope, all of them except for the one when I free soloed it.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, it's taken a long time to get comfortable on the wall to the point that I could even imagine free soloing it.
Alex Honnold joins us here in studio. He's the centerpiece of Free Solo. So let me ask you about what it does to your girlfriend or your family when you tell them, okay, I want to climb El Cap, but I want to do it without a rope.
Well, the key is to not tell them, to try not to have those conversations. Yeah. I mean, and that's, part of the core of the film is the tension between the relationships, the people that love me and that I love, and how to balance those kinds of things, how to balance, taking a risk for following your dream. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're tough conversations to have and tough questions, and I think you just kind of have to work through them as they happen.
Well, were you prepared for your girlfriend or your parents to say, no, I don't want you to do this. I can't allow you to do this?
Well, I mean, I think at least early on, if someone had said no, then I probably would have, backed away from the relationship, basically. Which
you can't back away from your family, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, thankfully my family's never really said hard no. But I mean, honestly, this is why I prefer to tell people after the fact, because free soloing is stressful. Nobody wants to know about it. Nobody wants to be thinking about it ahead of time. It's something that's much better to know about afterward.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's obvious, but yeah.
So your girlfriend goes through a lot of swings of emotions, and the film shows this. I mean, she wants to be supportive of you. She knows that this is your dream. She knows that this is your inspiration. But at the very, at the end of the day, she realizes that this is the type of thing that is unbelievably dangerous. And so, how do you reconcile that?
No, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think that's the hardest part of watching the film for me, is to see the pain that it puts my whole community through. in retrospect, you're like, oh, should I do things like that? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's hard questions. The thing was that I'd been dreaming about free soloing El Cap for maybe 8 years or maybe 6 or 7 years at that point when I met my girlfriend. And when we started dating, we were a couple months into a relationship that seemed very promising, but like, who knows where that's going to go versus this dream that I'd been holding on to for many, many years. And so obviously I weighted the climbing much more significantly than the relationship. But, now having actually done the climb and still having a great relationship with the same wonderful woman 3 years later, it's like, oh, the balance seems a little different.
How focused, locked in, how kind of out of body do you have to be in some ways, knowing that you're scaling a mountain without any type of safety device, and one slip means death? I mean, you can't take a breath. You can't.
Yeah, out of body is actually a really good description of the hardest parts of the route. I mean, so the 3,000-foot route, not all of it is super, super hard. So there are big sections that are relatively easy that feel quite comfortable. Sometimes you're walking across little ledges. Sometimes you're just scrambling up easy terrain. And so on those sections, I can look around and enjoy the view and appreciate the whole experience, enjoy myself. And then on the hardest parts, like the Crux Boulder Prom, it basically was out of body. I mean, I was just performing without thinking at all.
Is there a moment when you're on the face of that mountain and you're going, oh my God, holy crap?
No, not really, no.
No.
I mean, but that's 2 years of preparation put into it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that when you walk up to the base, because you look up and you're like, wow, that's a really big wall.
Yeah.
And just anytime you're doing something that's never been done before, there's a little bit of, no matter how well prepared you are, at least for me, no matter how prepared I am, there's uncertainty, because it's never been done. So even if you really think you can do it, you don't totally know until you actually do it.
So describe to me why internally doing it as a soloist without a rope does something different to you internally than climbing it with a rope.
Well, so there are kind of two answers. So the deeper answer is maybe that it just requires more from you because the stakes are higher, because the consequences are high. It just requires a higher degree of performance. It forces you to sort of be your best. And I think that the real payoff is the climbing at your best. Feeling like a good climber. The more superficial answer is just that it honestly is a little bit more fun. You don't have to wait for your partners. You don't have all the extra weight hanging off you. You're not dragging the gear up. As part of my preparation to free solo El Cap, I climbed it in 5.5 hours with Tommy Caldwell with ropes and like conventional style. And we climbed it pretty much as fast as it can possibly be climbed with safety equipment. And then when I did it by myself, it was less than 4 hours. And so I shaved an hour and a half off the speed record just by nature of taking off all the equipment, not having to wait for a partner, not having to, manage the rope and everything. Like it is more fun. Like you do climb more freely.
Have you become a hero in the climbing community?
I don't know.
I mean, you're a humble guy, but I mean, do you have now people that come to you? Oh my God, I can't believe you did this.
Yeah.
You have set the bar. This is the challenge. I look up to you.
I mean, well, not. I don't know how to say. I kind of had that before El Cap as well. I mean, I've been a professional climber for 10 years, and I've done many other, significant climbs. But yeah, certainly with the release of the film, it's taken to a slightly different level. I think just because the film, as you said, is so beautifully shot that anybody can see the challenge just laid out. I think that without having, a beautiful film, it's hard to really imagine what it takes to climb a 3,000-foot wall without a rope. But I think when it's all laid out and on the screen, it's a lot easier to appreciate.
You're a guy that looks for challenges. Are you still looking for challenges, or did that scratch the itch?
I'm looking for different kinds of challenges, I think. Yeah, it's hard to say. I definitely am not looking for a bigger wall than El Cap necessarily to free solo. But just because, honestly, I'm not sure if there are any. I mean, it really is like the most straight. It was always the end of my list, and then now I've done it. And I'm like, I don't know.
Please tell me there's like a boring part of your day where you like sit on the couch and watch Netflix.
Yeah, well, honestly, touring with the film, I've been climbing just in climbing gyms around the country. I wouldn't say it's boring, but it's certainly a lot safer than free soloing big walls.
This is so. I mean, the film is breathtakingly gorgeous, and the challenge that you take on head on is amazing. What's the coolest part about seeing your, this achievement on film and having it released like this?
I mean, my personal favorite part is just seeing El Cap laid out in all its glory on the big screen, because I've always found it to be, as I said, the most striking, the most iconic, the most inspiring wall in the world. And so to see it on we had the pleasure of seeing it on a big screen, like an IMAX screen, and to see a 3,000-foot wall laid out. I mean, it's so big. It's just I love seeing the climbing. I love seeing the wall. But I'm a professional climber, so I'm biased.
I don't think that you need to be a professional climber to really, be struck by the beauty of this. And when you see things like films that National Geographic does otherwise, it's beautiful when they lay things out like this. And this is the same type of thing, but shows this amazing human achievement. Alex Honnold is the centerpiece of Free Solo, which is a National Geographic documentary film. And it is so amazing. You got to check this thing out. The trailer is on YouTube. Just watch the trailer itself, and that'll just get you so fired up. This is awesome, man. Congratulations on everything. I'm so glad that you're able to do this interview with us and not be dead.
Yeah, I am too. Thanks for having me.
It's a big win.
Yeah.
It's a big win.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
that.
down and hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, cheers.
Very
Thank
cool.
you.
Very cool to meet you. Alex Honnold joining us here on the show. The film is called Free Solo.